Greetings and welcome to the Pure Report. I'm your host, Rob Ludeman, and it is time to bring the orange. And I am so excited today to bring two guests into the studio. We're going to be talking about Fusion. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about MCP, and we're going to define that for everybody. First off, Mr. Mike Nelson. Mr. Nelson, welcome back.
Hey, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you having me on the show, man.
Yeah.
Every single time. It's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to talk about what we're topics
It's
today.
super exciting time. Very timely to do this. And I would say the episode, I will say for folks, the one that we did a little while back actually had some great traction. People were really curious about what that was. And we went deep. We went super deep. And we're going to be going deep into a specific aspect of this. Also introducing Ameerul Shah, Product Manager, and who's currently bringing the average age of our podcast guests in studio down significantly.
Just a little.
We've got, old guy, young guy, and it's actually really fun that you guys work together on this stuff. Welcome. It's great to have you in here.
Very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me here, Rob.
Yeah. Welcome. You are a podcast newbie. You've never done this before, right?
Never. Yeah. I'm very excited about this. Let's see how this goes.
All right. You're a little bit nervous?
A little bit, yes.
A little bit? All right. Well, let's just chat and let's just have fun and it'll all come out. It'll all come out all right. But thanks for finding time, and I'm super excited to hear what you've been working on because you're at the heart of a lot of this stuff. Mr. Nelson, what's been going on lately? What's the news?
The news is, still working on Fusion. I still have my grip on that and trying to keep it and trying to expand it into all the different areas of the platform. So really focused on it for the last 4 years at Pure. I've been with Pure for 6 years now. Can you believe it? 6 years.
I'm in my 9th, right?
Yeah,
So it's
wow. He's a veteran. But,
6 is really great.
Yeah. So, and the thing is that, we're just going in all kinds of different directions with this automation around the Fusion automation engine and AI and things like that. It's just kind of to me, it's kind of a little crazy time too, trying to keep everything together and understanding it all. So I'm hoping, I always rely on guys like Ameerul to just, hey, give me the skinny on this, help me out. And it makes my job a lot easier.
Well, you talk to customers about this. Like, I think they grok what we're doing here with this, and they're especially if they're already using Everpure, right? And they trust when we have these technologies. Like, but I get the sense they're like, okay, dig in, show me how this works. I understand what it's for. I think that's the general tone that we're seeing.
It is. But the way that the technology is today, everybody has kind of a grip on the whole AI thing, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that they don't understand, like when we come along, we're like, hey, we've got AI just like everybody else. We've got AI, but they, like you said, want to understand how they can actually use it in their environment. And what benefits they get out of it. What are the caveats? What are the things that they need to know? So I find that really exciting is, hearing from customers and they say, hey, I used it for this, I used it for that. And I'm like, that is so cool. And these are some of the use cases we've never even thought of. So
that's the best part. Customers are smart, right? They figure out what use case applies to them, and then we get to learn about it and then share with others, which is great. All right, podcast newbie. All right, man. I'm super excited. You're relatively new to the company. You joined in January, right?
Correct. Yes. I interned here at Pure before. I worked as a product manager intern, and it was a really exciting product that I got to work on because it was about the collaboration about RAG and vector DB ingestion. That was when I was like, wow, this is a cool place. Like, they give you a lot of end-to-end ownership, and the people are really smart here. You get to learn a lot. So after I completed my internship is when I joined in January full time.
But overall, the interns, and this is a consistent set of feedback that I get because I've known a lot of the interns we've had over the years and internships for years, right? You go back to internships where you just get the most menial task or what, and some of them are unpaid, right? When you get out there. But I know our internships, they're super valuable. Like you got responsibility and got to work on something really cool.
Definitely. So just to give a little bit of context, I was in a purely engineering role before this, and then I did my master's in management, and that's when I made this pivot. So this internship was very important for me because this was the first experience as a product manager. So it was not some task that was given to me, but more like, hey, we need to figure out what we need to do in this AI space for object. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
So it involved doing some market research, talking to customers, doing some competitive analysis, working with the engineering that, hey, does this cool idea really work? And then it went on to getting buy-in from NVIDIA, working with Milvis, which is a vector DB company. And towards the end, we actually got to file a patent.
Really?
That's when I was like, this place is really cool.
This is real.
Did you get on it
This is
too?
real.
Are you on the patent?
So right now it's going under scrutiny.
It's in review. Okay.
Yeah, it's in
Okay.
review.
Okay. But
it
you
seems
will
to-
be
yes,
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is so great. That is so great. I guess you took the job as a product manager, so you must have liked it, right? Because it is different. Engineering, you're kind of just coming to work every day and you're fixing things, you're building things.
Usually engineers and product managers are like this.
Yeah,
most of
I
the
know.
time.
It's because this is what we want you to build, and they're like, this is what we can actually build,
Yeah.
right? But you must have taken to that.
Tell me about it. That's so true, right? When I was
Yeah.
engineering, I was like, man, I want to be a product manager. It looks like such a cool job. Maybe I don't really have to work much.
Yeah. Oh no. Let me tell you. And probably why I've never gone into that field. I've never formally been. I've always kind of skirted around.
I was a
that with
PM.
marketing. Were you
Yeah, I was a PM for the PowerShell SDK.
really?
Yeah, I PM'd that for over a
Oh,
year.
gosh, that's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Back in 02.
I had never PM'd a product before, but hey, I made it through.
Yeah. What do you like about it? You mentioned some of the things that you
Yeah.
do, but like for help share with people, what does you come to work, day in the life.
Yeah.
What does product manager do?
So what I like about it is the impact. So
Yeah.
when I was an engineer, it's more about, hey, let's do this Jira ticket. Let's complete this task. You don't really get to see the bigger picture. But now here you get to shape the direction of the product. You get to talk about the strategy, decide the strategy. And at the end of the day, when something goes out, you feel really empowered. Like, hey, this product, I thought about it. It went out. It's CA, right? So that's what excites me the most about product management. About a day in the life, I don't really think there's a day in the life, more like a month in the life.
But it's constantly changing. There is no set pattern
Right.
that you can draw upon really about
Yes.
what goes on. It's
What-
just
yeah.
different things come and you have to, but you're looking at market trends, you're looking at market analysis, certainly looking at competition,
Customer
right? And
feedback.
what they do, you're getting customer feedback, you're
Correct.
getting requests for enhancement. There's a lot to it.
He
There's a
gets
lot to
feedback
it.
from me, and I tell him when things look bad and they look good.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, definitely. So the way I think about a PM is that you need to balance the technical feasibility with engineering. You need to think about the customer, what the real pain points are. Then you need to also think about the viability factor. Like, will this bring revenue? What's the ROI? Does it tie to our company goals? So for the day in the life, these are the phases I think about. First, like the discovery phase, wherein you do read a lot of market research reports. You talked about reading the competition, which
Yeah.
is competitive analysis. So you need to figure out what the right problem is. Once we have that, the next stage is more about what do the requirements look like? What's the priority of this? We can't be solving all the problems. Once we have all of this set in place, the next stage is actually driving it. When you're driving it, a lot of things change. Like something blows up, you need to reprioritize, you need to think about trade-offs. Then you end the loop and iterate. So my day is like a zigzag of all this because one of my product is a matured one. One of it is a new one, which hopefully we'll be talking about this next
Eventually, yeah.
podcast.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It is super interesting. And the way I've always talked about it to people is you're bringing something to life, right? You effectively bring it to life. Our job as marketing is to go out and find the people, right, that are interested, that has a product or solution connected to a need in the market at a given time. And then at some point, there's a set of people that actually sunset that product. Traditionally, here we don't quite do that because we have this thing called Evergreen, which is amazing. But in traditional sense, PMs are also involved in that part too. So the conception, the birth, the operation, the sunsetting. Super cool. That's fun. And you're a smart cookie, I will say for everybody here. Dartmouth right here. Dartmouth guy. Dartmouth masters. Smart guy. Smart guy. So I gotta watch myself here. You already talked about Fusion is going well.
Yeah.
right? We're seeing good momentum there. Where do we start from with
So,
that?
yeah.
Just to take
So
people back.
if you could take it back all the way, what we call V1,
Yeah.
right? So V1 was our initial look at how we were going to introduce Fusion, and it was cloud-based.
Yeah.
Right. And we did some reiterations around that, and we talked to customers. We found out, that they were really looking for something that was more on-prem.
Yeah.
Something that was more local to the arrays. So we came out with, we started working on and came out with V2. And V2 was really kind of a showcase, and we just keep on. We had a very long roadmap, and we started adding all these really cool features and stuff. And it really, really helped us out in terms of understanding what the customer wanted for outcomes.
Yeah.
Because that's what all Fusion's all about. Fusion is about, not only the automation part of it, but what is the outcome? What happens at the end? You want something, but how does it get to that point? And that's when we started to think about all these different things that we can incorporate into Fusion. Anything from the, not just resources of objects like hosts and volumes and things like that, but expanding past that into workloads,
application
presets,
level
workloads,
stuff. Right.
yeah, policies, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
These are all things that we're just starting to bring together, and now we're bringing in Pure One. And it's combining FlashArray and FlashBlade, which I will note was the first time in the company history.
Yeah, it was.
That the FlashArray and FlashBlade could actually talk to each other.
Yeah.
And have that
brought to you by Fusion.
That's right, and could work cross-platform. And it was, engineering was just like, kind of a moment.
Yeah.
But everybody else in the company is like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But
I didn't realize the significance. Yes.
It was
Some
very
of us
significant.
did. Some of us did. I
Yeah.
remember reading that, and it was kind of it was a big deal. Yeah. And now we are viewing Fusion as so integral, so core to what we do here that everything has a Fusion first mandate relative to the development. And we also have it in the place where people love to live and operate, which is in Purity.
That's right.
Right. I mean, that's the main thing, which also helps with the Evergreen, with the upgrades, with the the most powerful storage operating system out there, and it's just built right into the things that people are using
Baked in.
on-prem all day.
Nothing to add, nothing to turn on, nothing to buy. It's there.
Yeah, included.
And so last one on the intent and outcome part, because we want to move from a storage management to a data management.
For sure.
And this is a pivotal part in that.
It is. Yep.
It starts abstracting that a little bit, right? And the way I've started using the term turning storage admins into storage strategists or even data strategists.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like to stop worrying
That's cool.
about all those.
I got to use that.
You can use it. You can use it. And I may have borrowed it from someone else as well, but I kept trying to think of a good way to do it, because we've evolved from, storage admins and I'm mapping lens and I'm, doing all these mundane things to, okay, I'm now maybe storage practitioner. I'm using Everpure, so I've gotten away from some of those things that we've automated and simplified. But I'm still working with storage on a day-to-day basis. And now you go to a point where you go, okay, the business needs this right now, right? They're bringing out this new service and it has this application that needs to run. Okay, what do I need to set up so that I can facilitate and automate the data services for them?
That's right.
I'm no longer working at the storage level,
Yep.
right? I'm working at the workload level.
That's driving you to the enterprise data cloud.
And it is.
The EDC.
And it is. And that's, yes. Which has Fusion in it, but also we're finding more and more, we talk about the enterprise data cloud, it's holistic around all of the as a service and subscription-based things. You can say that the cyber recovery, SLA.
That's right.
That's an enterprise data cloud type of thing.
Yes, it is.
That you can bring in. Ameerul, where does AI come into this, right? You've got the AI background. You worked in that space. You're still in it, right? But you're kind of in Fusion land, and with this thing MCP that I want to get to in a minute. And my brain always goes back to Tron, Mike, MPC, which is totally different. Sorry, I had to take it back to the early 80s before this one was even born, but I had to go back to Tron. But where does AI come into this whole thing, right? We're talking Fusion and automation with workflows and workloads. What can AI add into this equation?
So AI is everywhere, right? AI is the new UX, the user experience. So Fusion is the control plane, You want to move the user's thinking about which volume do I use, which file system do I use, to how do I provision this workload, and this is what I need, an intent-based provisioning. So we have the control plane in place. Now the next step is, how do we make it easier for the users to interact with this control plane? And what better way than English or natural language for
sure.
them to interact with this
Yeah.
control plane,
Yeah.
right? So this is where in AI comes into the picture. But now we need to think about Fusion has a lot of specific verbiage, fleets and workloads and all of that. AI is super smart, but it is only a very confident guesser if it doesn't have the right
It's
context.
all part of the model.
Exactly.
It's trained to that time frame, that model,
Yeah.
those sources. Yeah.
Exactly. So we need to enable the users to use their natural language effectively to use the control plane to make things happen. That is wherein the AI, the Fusion data, and the MCP comes into the picture.
Okay. And I'm going to very simply ask you to define MCP for us here again for the audience that we have, model context protocol, and it's something that people are already using, right? There's MCPs that are out there, and I think also key that, and we'll get to this, that we're able to tie into those, right, that are there. But what is it? What does it do, right?
So let me give you like a very good example so you actually understand what MCP is. And I mean, you understand for sure, but our audience.
I play a technical guy, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV,
So one place is data. This data could be Snowflake data. It could be a lot of terminology. The other place lives your LLM or SLM, your small or large language model. So there's a bridge in between, which is MCP. So to understand what is MCP, let's try to think how the conversation happens without an MCP. So let's say I copy paste the data about fleets and all of that from Fusion to my Claude or ChatGPT, whatever version. So it's going to give me an answer what it thinks about what fleet means, right?
It's guessing, right?
It's a confident guess.
It's guessing based on its training, but it's confident
with possible hallucinations.
But it may not be right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So now enter MCP.
Okay.
It tells you how to use this data. So what it does is it takes all of that unstructured data, converts it into a JSON structured string that the AI can really, really understand and tell you that, hey, this is what fleet means. This is how you use it. And now when the user has an MCP in the picture and asks it a question about what is a Fusion fleet, it's going to give that answer. If the user tells provision a workload, it's going to actually provision a workload and not do something else, which it would not know about if it doesn't have MCP. So does that make things?
Yeah, so it's kind of doing an interpretation, if you will, right? Or it's providing context,
yes,
right?
Context.
Hence the word context is in there, because otherwise it doesn't necessarily understand what these things are. Okay.
And the most important part to understand here is AI is as smart as the context. That is why MCP plays a pivotal role in our agentic AI workflows future.
Right. And if you didn't have the MCP, would the alternative be, train your own model, right? But there's so much extensive work.
No, there's the time and the cost that goes into that. So this accelerates or eliminates the need to
not only
do
that, the
right?
updating. That's why models don't come out that often,
Yeah.
right? Because they have to be updated, and we're not talking about a small task just to do that, right?
That's a spot on observation, because I think initially when LLMs came out, everyone went to fine tune their models, make their own SLMs.
Yep.
Then that's when they realized that, hey, I can't be making a small language model for everything that comes out. That's the inception or the birth of MCP, that you don't really need to train a model. You just need to provide it the right context.
Yeah, around what's already existing, so that you don't have to keep creating a new one and over again. But then also, Mike, you make a great point about the changes, right, that need to be, or the additions, or the retraining, right, that has to happen. So this cuts through that.
Exactly. So let me ask you, Ameerul, about that. Now, MCPs have been around for a while, and they've kind of exploded, right? Because everybody's like, this is the easier way to do things, which it is. But let me ask you, what about skills? Well, how do skills play into this?
That's a great point. I think if we go at the top, there is an AI agent that does everything. So for that AI agent, the three critical pieces are: one, MCP, Second, skills. The third is your local CLI tools. Would you agree to that?
Yes.
So for the MCP part, it gives you the context, but the skills is what tells you how to do things. Now you have all the knowledge in the world, but you don't have the right skill on how to do it. So it's going to prompt you, give you the right way to use those tools and perform that thing. The third part, which I mentioned, local CLI tools, is just computationally it runs on your local system. So these three parts are very important to the whole AI agent workflow.
Got it. Now, and we talk about APIs all the time at this company because we're API first. Where do APIs come into play then, right? And being always API first, because as Ameerul mentioned, there are already people using these models on their own. And so instead of saying, well, I want to use what I'm already using, we can connect into this.
Right. So the API is actually, I mean, you can add the API as an actual context to it. So you're asking for, as an example, I need to go out and create this volume. Okay. I want you to create this volume and connect it to this host, right? You can say, can you please give me an automation that will go out and create this volume and connect it to this host? It's going to go out and it's going to look at the API. Right? It's not going to look at the GUI. It doesn't know anything about the GUI. It doesn't know anything about the interface. It has no idea about that. So actually the API comes into play is whenever you're asking a question, a natural language question, it will use that resource if you give it, right? Or it has access to it. So every time that I do a query, when I ask a question, I always have the AI as context. I mean, I'm not the AI, I'm sorry, the API as context.
Yeah.
Always. And that's just because I'm automation guy, right? I live in automation. But at the same time, it helps the actual agent understand more about how it can be done, and it gives you more options on how things can be done.
Agreed.
Mike, Captain PowerShell Nelson.
Yeah.
Automation. Captain, General?
Yeah.
General? Doctor?
Doctor.
Just to add on to that, API and MCP is not very different. Basically, MCPs use the APIs to make things happen. So APIs still are a very fundamental, important thing in the whole ecosystem. And the MCPs at a lower level will use the APIs in the right way with tools to make things happen.
So, and just to break this down a little bit, I don't know how much we're going to dwell on this, but from an MCP perspective, an MCP isn't like just a text file.
Yeah.
Right. It actually is. An application that loads tools. All right. So it's going out and looking at tools, and some of those tools are documentation.
Yeah.
Okay. So it knows. It says, hey, if you get asked a question, go out and reference this documentation, or go out and reference this API, or go out and reference this. So it's just a stream of tools basically that allow.
And wouldn't that be people that normally we would have to be accessing this documentation and tools to perform the same task?
Yes.
I mean, that's just to make it really translucent for everybody. That's what we're replacing here. We're replacing, and not saying we're replacing the person or the role. We're replacing the time and freeing up the time, and also probably eliminating a little bit of the risk.
Oh,
right, because wrong key pushed, wrong documentation, right? And so that's really the beauty of this.
There still is risk, though. There still is. Don't be.
No, I'm not saying it's risk-free.
That's right.
But I'm contrasting it to, come on, look, I have a segment where I have people tell an oops story on every podcast, right? So we know of what the risk of human error is, but if you can go do that automation, and it was that thing, we're going to hit this later, but there was the automation that we did using Fusion at Accelerate in New York last year at the Roadshow.
Oh, yeah.
Where, it was taking VMs and then using Fusion and using...
It was OpenShift.
OpenShift. We pushed them to OpenShift, and that was all done without accessing a manual, without typing a code or writing command line stuff.
Yep, it was using 4 MCP servers, as a matter of fact. It was using Fusion MCP, the Pure One MCP. Pure One has an MCP server as well. It was using VMware's MCP server, and it was using OpenShift. Yep, their MCP. So all those were providing tools. To be able to make a statement, say the natural language would be, I need to come up with a plan to migrate all of my VMs from VMware to OpenShift KubeVirt. Help me lay this plan out. It would utilize all those tools. given by, all different MCPs and come up with a plan. And that's exactly what that demo showed.
And they're all communicating with one another too.
That's
It's
right.
just fascinating. I looked through that demo flow document and just to see how it all rolled through. And it was all just natural language. It was all just, I need to do this. Okay, well, here's what we found to do. Okay, go ahead and do it. By the way, tell me what happened in Slack, or tell me what, and
give me a status in
and
Slack.
then it's reporting, okay, well, I finished, I've just done this. Okay to proceed. Yes, okay to proceed.
Right. But that brings up an important point. And I know Ameerul wants to touch on this, is actually, the actionables.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to, there's a difference between having something that is basically you're asking it questions, okay, but you're not actually performing actions.
Yeah.
And, when you bring actions into it, you bring into, weird things with AI could happen and all that. So, Ameerul, if you want to talk a little bit about that, how you see that happening.
Yeah. So the way I think about it is we need to evolve from a chat bot experience to something bigger. So there are 3 stages. One is observe, wherein you ask a question that, hey, what's happening? How's the capacity look like on my arrays? Then the next part is you diagnose or triage, which is why is it this way? Right? Then you want it to also recommend and tell you what to do next. Like, okay, this is a problem, but what do I do next?
Yeah.
Then you also want it to take that action. So it kind of closes the whole loop with observe, triage, and act. So this is where the market is heading.
Okay.
We will be moving towards autonomous management and agentic tasks. Now, there are a lot of challenges and things that come with it for sure, right? Because I know you talked about human error, but there is something hallucinations, LLM errors.
Yes.
So for that, we need to have the right guardrails in place. We need to also make sure that the user feels in complete control, because supervised. Exactly.
Yes.
So the word that we use is supervised actionables.
That's right.
And I love calling back to prior pods. A podcast I released this week was with Quast and Saunders, and we were talking about coding and agentic AI. And we almost coined during that episode, and I popped it out as a short, like Quast coined this kind of, I don't know if he did it intentionally, this sort of 80-20 rule. And we were talking more about compliance and security, but he's like, the AI and the agentic stuff, like we get to about 80% there, but then you need to have supervision.
Yes.
Right.
Supervised over like that last 20%.
That's right.
To validate, to make sure, to, whatever, right?
Yeah. And anybody who doesn't use that supervision and just kind of lets AI do its thing, if you're a professional, if you're in storage admin, that's pretty much a resume generating event, or it could turn into that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, how do we contrast this? Okay, and it's a kind of we're going non sequitur other way, but I'd written this down in my notes. We've already been doing some natural language stuff with the AI Copilot, right? Which is pure one side of the house.
Right.
Related, different, connected. Like, I want to make sure people understand the positioning there, because that is a powerful way for our users to interact with their systems, and based on the telemetry that we pull in the data, and also can do things actionable for them.
Right.
But I want to make sure people are clear on that.
Right. So let's go back to our goal. Like, AI is the new UX. We want to enable users to use AI at all fronts. So we have Copilot on Pure One. We also want to get it closer to the user on the box. We also want AI to be there for customers who are dark sites or power users who want to break down those tools, make their own, and come up with their own tools that interacts with different agents, as Mike was talking about. So the goal of this is it's all really closing out on the whole surface area.
Okay.
So you have Pure One Copilot, you have something closer on the box, you have something for dark sites and power users. So wherever you want, you have AI to use, and Fusion is the control plane that enables and powers it to do those actions.
Back to that control plane again.
Yeah, back to that control plane. But providing options, right, for the different use case scenarios. Obviously, dark site being something that we've always worked closely with those customers that have those requirements to do that. But then,
we don't want to lose any of our customers. Like, we want all of them to be able to be empowered with this. And that's the reason why we want to have it across all of these surfaces. Like, we don't want to miss out on anyone.
Yeah.
Do we run into any reluctance or pushback. There are some traditional users who were,
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty out there that are still doing command line stuff,
Well,
right?
there's
So it's
people that
like,
won't even use Siri on their phones,
yeah,
or
yeah.
you won't even use.
I'm a rare Siri user,
Yeah.
and it's very infrequent. So maybe
Yeah.
I'm in that camp. But no, I've gone to some user group events where we were showing some of these new things, and one of the attendees raised their hand and said, "Just I'm good with my GUI, or I'm
I
good
get
with
it.
my
I
I'm
get
good
it.
with my command line. I feel comfortable," and that's okay. Like that's not going to go away. But increasingly, once we get exposure to people of how much easier this
It
is to
is.
do, and the time spec to your time thing, right?
Right. But I would also say that if somebody at this point of the game, when we're in this stage of the AI with, it taking over and having all of these, and I don't mean by like taking over the world, but I mean
Yeah.
actually being, included in so much of the technology we use. If they're really, not grasping the concept of what it could do for them, not that it'll replace them, but what it could do for them. And if they're saying that, this, I'm old school, I'm not gonna do this, I'm being stubborn, or, I don't think it's worth it. I personally think you're falling behind.
Yeah.
And I think you will fall behind even more. Because you need to grasp this technology. They say it's an AI bubble, right? There's a
Yeah.
big AI bubble right
Yeah.
now, and it probably will burst. But the thing is, it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
It's something, it's like the internet. Yeah, we had the internet bubble happen, and the internet bubble burst back, in 86 or 87 or whatever that was. And yeah, I was around then.
Sure.
But it's still here.
Right.
And it's still highly used. So it's just not something that's going to go. I mean, it's in everything. It's in cars. It's in refrigerators. It's
I don't
in
need it in my refrigerator, but these other use cases are very valid. I don't need it in my washing machine. Washing machines have done what they do pretty well for 50 years.
And my wife just bought a dishwasher, a Samsung dishwasher, and it's got Bixby. I can talk to it, and it's got AI built right into the dishwasher.
At least they come up with cute names for it, right? I mean, at least they do that.
Yeah. But adding on to your point, there are two sides of the coin. One, customers who are very excited, they really want to try.
Yeah.
They are even thinking ahead of the curve. Then
Well, are they giving you ideas too,
Yeah,
right?
they're
When you're
like-
out talking, they're like, "Oh, well, can it do this?" And you guys go, "I'm not sure," or "Yeah, we're working on
try.
it." Usually, it's we're working on it.
Exactly. And then there's the other side who are very conservative. They are like, I don't trust it enough. I don't even use ChatGPT. And then there's the middle section who's like, okay, I want to learn more about this.
Okay.
But I think Mike is spot on with his interpretation that even though AI is a bubble, there is some reality into some parts of it which we should take as learnings.
Yes.
And same as the internet bubble, right?
That's right.
No, it's very true. And I at a personal level, there's areas where I've held off using it, but then it becomes inevitable, right? You play around with it, and then you discover places where it legitimately saves time at minimal risk,
Mhm.
with 20% supervisory oversight,
That's right.
right? To make sure it's delivering what you need, but then it can go do, I mean, like Portman needed to build the schedule for expo coverage for booths
Oh, sure.
at Accelerate, and that was a task last year and the year before, because I don't know that Gemini, I know the AI was up to the task, and he went and he pushed in and set up the conditions, look at the
Yeah.
schedules where people are being used other places. He said it happened in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
I found places where it didn't work,
That's right.
and we had to recast, and that's okay, because that only took 5 or 10 minutes to scan the whole thing. But that was something I spent 6 hours on last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Right,
that happens.
so-
That happens a lot, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you're seeing that more and more, even in looking at socials, right? So,
Mhm.
I don't go into I call it the younger generation socials, but I follow.
Mike's on Facebook, and that's it.
No, barely on
I'm
that.
joking. I'm joking.
Barely
It's
on
a-
that. Actually,
Yeah.
I do a lot on Reddit because
Yeah.
Reddit has a lot of stuff in it, but
Reddit's
it
fun.
has
It
a
has
lot
some
of
snark.
smart people in
It does
too.
have. It has. Yeah,
So
smart.
I do a lot on that, but I can tell, you even get into the sense now where you can tell when something is AI generated because just the way the verbiage is done, the way that the
Correct.
structure is
Or it has
done.
quotes.
Yeah.
AI
M
overuses
dashes.
quotes a lot.
M
dashes.
dashes.
Oh,
Quotes
God.
and dashes are
Yeah,
super heavily
right,
used.
right.
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful with that, and you take it to that extreme. But I really think that from an Everpure's standpoint, when we introduced it, we originally introduced it with Copilot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that Copilot, when we introduced it a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
it has come so far.
Yeah.
It has come so far. And then when I found out that they were working on the MCP, because we actually had an internal project where somebody went out and created an MCP for Fusion because they wouldn't, engineering was like, yeah, that's maybe a thing, maybe it's not. And this is before your time, obviously. And, I was like, hey, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And then they were like, hey, you know what? This could be really a cool thing. And the best thing about it is I found out, well, number one, Ameerul was coming on board to be the PM for it.
Yeah.
But the Fusion MCP is going to be open sourced, which is key. I am an lover of open source.
Yes.
And it's going to be free for all. So
was the project ongoing when you joined in January, or did you come in to kind of be like, was it already in flight and they said we need another resource, but then you picked it up and jumped in, really quickly?
Yeah, so Copilot was GA last year,
Yeah,
so it's been 1 year.
Before, but the MCP part.
Yeah, the MCP part, when I joined in was they're kind of experimenting, seeing where it goes, but we did not have a strategy in place,
Okay.
no customer input. How does this, translate into a business goal and all of that? So that's where I came in, talked to Mike, took a lot of his good feedback, and we worked on creating a bigger strategy for the next year. How should it look like? What are customer pain points? What is it that they really want? And that's where the open sourcing part came in, because a lot of them who really use MCP are power users. They don't only just want to use Fusion MCP, but we need to understand that most of the infra users, they have a whole stack of things. They want that MCP to talk to other MCPs,
Sure.
and then all of this bubbles up to give you one final intent-based actionable.
Yeah. And I'm not even really sure. I don't know of really any companies that manufacturers or vendors that create their own MCPs. I've never heard of one charging for an MCP, right?
Yeah.
Because it only helps. It only provides value.
Yeah.
And it allows for the expansion of being able to, get more information and do more things with products and
Right.
with technologies.
I love the open source part of it too, right? That decision, because then you're extending your developer
People
base
contribute,
beyond the
yeah.
walls of the company,
Yeah.
right? I mean, yes, it has to get checked back in and
Well,
validated and all that, but instead of relying upon our finite engineering team
Correct.
resources, it's like, well, if you like this thing and you want to go develop a feature and go do the dev, we'll check it, and then
Yeah.
away you go. Go ahead and let's add that on, and that's how you create a community.
Finding
right, around
problems
this.
too.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting issues. People complain about issues all the time because I work with the GitHub repos a lot.
Yeah,
But the thing
and
is,
thank you for that.
yeah. But the thing is that, well, you're welcome. The thing is that issues really help. A lot of people just think it's a place to complain about a product and say this doesn't work or that doesn't work, but we're sometimes you're so limited in the way that you can actually test and QA something. But to have that general population help you with that and grow it and make it better,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
it's scale though, right?
Yeah.
It's scale. I mean, you're not just helping yourself; you're helping
Yeah.
many different users, many different people out there, which is the beauty of it. So where are we right now, Ameerul? Right, so we're in kind of a squirrely period as we're recording this, because we're close to GA, and when I release this, it might be GA. So we'll just kind of go in and around that. But there's excitement building. You guys must be super thrilled and excited because
For
you're near the finish line. And actually, you guys mentioned that strategy doc. I stumbled upon it internally. I found the Google Slides presentation that talked about this 3 months ago, and I got super excited about it, even though I needed some more understanding from you on certain things. So we're around
Yeah.
the time, right, where people are going to get to use this
So
in GA.
by the time this podcast goes out, probably it should be GA. So just to give you more information about this, we did a lot of customer interviews and we got a lot of good feedback. So we wanted to take our time and really go out with a V1 that adds a lot of value.
Love it.
So our V1 would not only give you fleet visibility, but actually do things for you.
Okay.
So that's our intent. And to give this a properly packaged product, as I mentioned, you need to have the right guardrails and keep the user in the loop. We're trying to make sure that all of that is very well packaged before we get this out.
hmm
So that's our current plan. And by the time this episode is out, we should probably have it open
I
source.
have to give him a hard time on this, though.
Yeah. Why?
I have to.
Why?
Because when he first came on board, I told him that I was creating a blog post or a
Yeah.
community blog post,
Yeah.
which I did
Yeah.
around the MCP, and it was called a sneak peek at the MCP, and because it was supposed to be released a while ago. The problem is that I pointed out, and he pointed out, he was like, "Well, we just want to make sure that we tell everybody it's read only, that it's not going to do any action." And then now he comes out and he says, "Oh, no. We decided we're going to let it do things." And I'm like, it kind of null and voids my blog post, but I'll create a new one, and I'll do a new one, and I'll let everybody know.
Or you can
do
use
that.
Claude or Gemini just to update the
Yeah.
parts of your blog post that you need and save yourself a little bit of time
Yeah, I
there,
can do that.
right? You could go in and get rid of the read-only parts and,
Yeah.
and update to,
Yeah.
the letting you do stuff part.
That's right.
But
Should be really cool.
very excited with this
Yeah.
because we will be coming out with something which is there's a lot of read-only MCP servers out there, but we will be coming with a full closed loop MCP that looks at things, tell you what's wrong, recommends, and does it. So I'm really excited about it.
And this will be part of a purity update. Yes.
No, this is a
No?
separate. This is
Oh,
actually
shoot, that's right. This
no,
is a
this-
separate thing.
well, and
Yes.
the beauty of this.
Yeah, because that's a Fusion thing, not a MCP thing. Yeah.
Right. So just to give you a little background on MCPs, when you actually bring an MCP into your environment,
Yeah.
the MCP is brought into a configuration file or added to an agent, right? So it would be Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, what have you. And it's added via the configuration file. It's basically you run a command, it adds itself, or you manually add it. So what we've done with the Fusion MCP is we made it a single executable.
Okay.
Very simple, very clean. There's not a lot of huss and fuss about being able to configure this thing and get it up and running. It's incredibly simple. It's I would even say it's easier than our Pure One MCP. Setting that up because this is 2 lines of code compared to like 4 or 5 lines of
Okay.
code. So yeah,
So then where do you go
where do I go?
to get it?
You can't get it yet, but when you do, you're going to go to our Open Connect GitHub site.
There you go.
That's right. So
That's
it's
what I'm
going to
looking for.
be
That's what I'm
github.com/pure
looking-
storage open connect, and that's where we keep all of our open source.
I love that. And we need to promote that more because
That's
there's so many good
Right.
things that are there. And probably something you and I need to chat about a little bit more is how to get that dev community a little bit more engaged
Absolutely.
as well. As part of
Always
the
interested
community.
in that. It's just,
Oh, I know.
yeah, and to be honest with you, we've got over 170 repositories out there.
Amazing.
Believe it or not, I can't believe it. And some of it is obviously, not for public use. It's internal, but at the same time, there's a lot of really cool stuff out there.
Well, let's get exploring that. You guys ready for some hot takes here?
Yeah. Oh,
Ready to
boy.
jump in?
There we
I
go.
don't know if you're ready, but we're going to do it anyway, which is really fun because you've been doing a great job here on explaining things for everybody. Well, let's keep it with the MCP topic then. And you talked a little bit about the time thing, but I'm seeing if we can get a little variety in here. I'll go, Amir, you go first on this one. Yes, super excited about the release of this. You've talked to customers. You have those enthusiastic ones that are super interested. What's the one thing you think is going to make the biggest difference for IT teams? What's going to stand out for them?
Right. So let's look at the end state, right?
Yeah.
So just to give you a very quick answer, it's going to save a lot of time
Mhm.
and it's going to provide a lot of value. So let me dig a bit more deeper into that. So the ideal end state is, let's say you get a Slack message
Mhm.
and the message is your Oracle backup failed. It's a simple Slack message.
Yep.
So usually as an admin, you would go to your ServiceNow incident, see what happened there. Then let's say you have storage from Pure. Then you have compute from Nutanix. Then you have backup from Rubrik. Then you have your Jiras.
You start
All
doing
of
this
these.
stuff. You start getting the fingers pointing everywhere,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
So let's say we have an MCP for all of this.
Okay.
And now all you need to reply to that Slack MCP is fix it. So the
Fix it.
circle,
So
just
great.
fix it.
Get
So
it done.
cool.
And the circle that
So
it
cool.
takes is it's going to look at the ServiceNow and look at its incident report. It points at some backup fail because of the Pure Array or Nutanix compute. So it's going to take that information from Rubrik or Nutanix or Pure and compile all of that information and see what happened. So we come to an understanding that, so we move from observe to triage. So we come to an understanding that something failed in these three aspects. So now what it does is it gives a recommendation. So it goes to the Fusion MCP. Fusion MCP says that, hey, the resources on this array were not sufficient. So you need to rebalance. So it does that rebalancing. And after all of this completes, it then goes to your Jira MCP and then creates a ticket that engineering needs to do an RCA. After doing all of this loop, it comes back to Slack and tells you, hey, it's fixed now. There was a problem with the resources on the array. It's rebalanced, and this is the Jira ticket. We'll be doing an RCA. The first analysis is already attached there. That's like the ideal state.
And you
Saving
didn't have to
time.
call support or file a support ticket or do anything. That's super powerful.
It is. It
Wow.
is very much so.
That's a great, I love your colorful answer there going through this scenario. No, it was.
And he's a newbie.
I know.
He
You're
comes up
welcome
with
back
that.
on the podcast. If you can, podcasting's all about telling stories, and you nailed it right there. That was really great. What about you, Mike? Can you do better than that? I'm not. It's not a contest. No.
Yeah.
I want your perspective though. What do you think this is going to do for teams?
Well, the thing I really like, and I gave a presentation about this about a year ago, is I really think that with the advent of MCPs, you can actually have agents talk to other agents. And the thing about it is that I had an actual agent that would use different personas. So I needed an automation created, and this automation was in Python. So we had a Python developer as one persona. We had a architect as another persona. We had a documenter, a technical documenter as another persona, and we had a reviewer and an approver as another one. So this project actually went through all 4 different agents, okay, using MCPs. All right, for all of this, Python MCP, everything, doing all this, and then coming out with an actual application at the end, the automation that I needed at the end. And I understand some people would say, well, that's like taking away my job, or would replace people. Not really. But what it's doing is it's making your time more efficient. You're actually able to do and focus on other things. I don't think people really grasp that you're really missing out on a lot of other things because you're tied down with these other tasks that can be automated. And you know me, I'm all about automation. So if I can automate it, I will.
Yeah.
And I just think that the whole concept of being able to do this from a team perspective really it's interesting to me. And I think that can be expanded upon. I think we can take the Pure 1 MCP with the Fusion MCP, and like we did with the VMware and the OpenShift and maybe, ServiceNow and everything else, and make that all of a team.
Yeah.
Like his example, and having it all come together for that outcome.
Well, everything we do, regardless of role, and I can apply this in marketing world or whatnot, it's strategy versus tactics.
Yeah.
Right. And I've even had annual reviews in the past where the main feedback and the area I needed to improve was you need to find more time to work on strategy because you get bogged down in tactics and things. And so again, that's just my marketing example, but that's part of the, we're not trying to replace jobs. We're just saying if you have more time to sit and think during the day and strategize, that was like the summary of what Rosemary and I came up with, in podcasts back in January. It's like, take time to think, go strategize, do that.
Yeah.
And try to eliminate some of the tactical things. That's a great example.
A really good answer, because I think the problem is not that infra teams don't have the tools.
Yeah.
They have a lot of tools that don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In very simple way.
Yeah. That's a great ad. Okay. Oops. Story. Who wants to go first? Something.
Newbie goes.
Something that got messed up. You were working on something, and calling your engineering side or whatever, but can be humorous, can be sad. We've had all sorts. We've had all sorts. We've had all sorts in here.
Okay.
We've had entire rack of servers put in upside down.
Yep.
In a rack. That was a fun one.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Gene
That's
McGrath.
crazy.
Gene wasn't the one who did it, thankfully. He's a smart guy, but he went in and had to do service on it and didn't know how it happened. Anyway.
I have an interesting one, I
Yeah.
think. So when I was in engineering, it was my day one and I was on an on-call.
Okay.
So I was on the on-call and suddenly I see 300 VMs starting to reboot.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? Later, I got to know that it was not something from my end, but at that point in time, I froze because that customer was a very huge financial banking firm. I was on the call. There's like 15 people on the call, the storage admins, the escalation engineers, different people. And they're all like, it went down. It went down. I'm like, oh my God, this is day one. And
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what is happening. Luckily, I had my mentor with me.
Okay.
And he is so calm. Like, that's what he's kind of like my role model. I'm like, whenever I'm in a situation like that, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm still alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was like, it's okay. It's just VMs. They rebooted. And that was one of the craziest incidents that I can remember because I was seriously reconsidering that night that why did I graduate? I should have still been in
Well,
college.
we as my kid is in college right now, I'm wondering why I graduated. I would like to be back where, wouldn't you, Mike? Be
Yeah.
back, be back in those days.
Oh, yeah.
With
yeah.
all the extra time that you
Yep.
have. That was his biggest observation going to schools.
I would have
Wow,
made out.
unlike high school,
I would
I
have
have
made.
so much more time in the day.
I know, and I would have
Right?
made some different choices as well.
Yeah. Well, it's good you got a good learning on that, but I know day one can,
Yeah.
you're like, well,
Yeah.
that shouldn't happen. There's a whole bunch of
Right.
VMs rebooting. Did we do one when we had John before?
Yes.
Oh, are you going to do another one?
Well, sure. I had the water in the data center.
Oh, yeah, the
underneath
water
floor,
data center one.
underneath
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah, under the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And the one I have now is about. I'm a beta guy, right? Ask him. I'm always asking him for the latest code. I'm always like, give me the look at
Beta
me,
guy,
yeah.
not a beta max
Always-
guy.
No.
A beta guy,
Beta guy.
not a beta max guy.
I'm always asking for the latest code, right?
Okay.
Because I want to play with it. I want
Right,
to try it.
right,
I want to
right.
see what breaks and what doesn't. I made the mistake of doing that because I joined a beta program early on when I bought my first electric car. So I bought a Tesla, just like
Yeah.
everybody else back like 6 years ago. And when I first joined it, they gave me the opportunity to be in the beta program.
Okay.
And that was a bad idea. It really was a bad idea. Because if you've ever driven down the road, I mean, I was only going 35, 40 miles an hour, but then the car just shuts off. Literally, the screen goes blank, the car goes down, and you're sitting in the middle of the road, and they're like, yeah, you're on beta. They actually had to bring somebody out and plug into the car and reprogram it. They couldn't do it over the OTA. They couldn't do it over the air.
Because it was just dead.
It was dead.
It was dead.
It was the
Yeah.
code. The code was dead. And so I blame myself for it, but at the same time, I'll keep doing it. It's something that I
Once
just
a
love
beta
doing.
guy, always a
Yeah,
beta guy, I guess, right?
exactly.
That's
All
why
right.
we're taking our time to ship this out, Mike.
Yeah. See, there you go. Way to take it back in.
There you go.
This is good. This is good. You're gonna be hosting the program in 5 years at this rate. We're gonna set you up in here. Last one. I always love this one because you get really different responses, and a lot of them apply to things we can still think about and learn. Best advice you ever got from a manager, from a colleague, from a friend? Besides, they're just 300 VMs. They're gonna reboot. They'll be fine, right?
I think the best advice I ever got was that when you're working, focus a lot on the people and
Love
the
it.
relationships.
Mhm.
When I was in engineering, I just used to be like, let me spend as much as I can the time on working on things. That's when I heard that you're currently spending 90% of the time on work, 10% on people. Reverse it and see the magic.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been really trying to do when I came in this role. And I can already say that it's working out really well because I randomly started talking with you, Rob,
Yeah,
right?
we just met via Accelerate
Yeah.
because you submitted a session
Yeah.
around this, and one thing led to the other, and we couldn't quite fit it in. Although we have Mike doing it now, which is great. But then we started talking, and that was when I said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast about this?"
Exactly.
Right? And he said, "Well, I haven't done a podcast, but you're very
Yeah.
good." But that's it. I mean, that's really and this is an old school thing that Mike will know that you maybe have never heard of, but there's a thing called management by walking around.
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to do with management. It's just a style from the 60s, I think, before cell phones. Basically, the only way you talk to people was picking up a phone, but the way you just connected with people was to get up from your desk and just walk around. And I'm doing that. I've been working 30 years in tech. And whether I was a manager or not, I just cruise around and just build those relationships. Because you never know when you'll need someone or whether they'll need you. And it just helps streamline things. Even in this digital age, even when we've got Slack and we've got email, the most powerful thing is truly a human connection. And so I'm super happy that we randomly got connected together, and now I see you around the floor all the time, and now I know a little bit more about what you work on that we can talk about. So
for sure,
it's great advice.
And AI can replace this human connection and relationship. So the most important thing that at least I learned.
Yeah, I love that. Nelson?
I've actually got a new one. I had one on the last show, but I've got a new one. And
Variety is the spice of life.
I shouldn't say it's new because it was told to me a long, long time ago by my grandfather. And it has nothing to do with technology. It's actually more around life in general. So he always told me, he said that yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. He said, live today as best you can. And he would tell me that. He'd be like, Mike, yesterday, history. Forget about it. Tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen. It's a mystery. Just live for today.
Next pitch. Well, people ask me sometimes, my closing tagline for people that stay all the way till the end of the episodes is a Satchel Paige quote, picture from a long time ago. And it's don't look back, something might be gaining on you. And I started following that mantra when I played baseball in high school because stuff happens behind you, like errors, bad plays. And it's like, you can't fix that. That was yesterday. And tomorrow, well, that's tomorrow, right after the game. Right now, I have to throw another pitch. Next pitch right now. And so I always love that quote from him because it's like, don't look back. Now, I did have a smart ass guy who worked here at one point who went, well, I go hiking a lot. What if a bear is behind me? Shouldn't I look back? I'm like, Scott, that's not the point. It's not the point. No, but I love that. I mean, that's super advice, and you just don't get bogged down with, how can you fix it? How can you make it better? How can you just be for today? Wow, we got very good and philosophical here. On the Pure Report. Thank you, gents, both for coming on. This was super fun. When you're in town, let's get both of you on because there's some kind of cool chemistry, and I can tell that you guys hang out. I can tell that you guys hang out and spend a little time together too.
Usually it's on Slack because we're separated, geographically, but
let's do it again. And for everybody else, stay tuned, right? By the time we release this, could be GA. We've talked about it enough, right? So there's no danger because we've already, talked about things, published things, but it'd be really exciting when we can actually allow people to go grab this and start experimenting, and then certainly reach out. You are both people that are super accessible. So customers out there that, just want to talk to you about how to use it, partners, particularly partner SEs, right, who want to go get with our customers and to use it. You guys are both great resources, along with, many of our field specialists as well.
That's right. If you go, and especially, at shows, I do events during the year, Accelerate, Ignite, all those kinds of things. But also, if you reach out to your SE, your PTs, your FSAs, they all know me. So
it's a beautiful thing. For more information for everyone, hit everpuredata.com/fusion, purestorage.com/fusion. Do that, the URL.
Still not used to that.
Just changed. No, I'm getting there. I'm definitely, I have been here 9 years. So I've said Pure Storage, the Malcolm Gladwell number of times, right? Many more than 10,000, but super cool. Mike, thank you. Ameerul, welcome. We'll definitely have you back. This was super cool. I'm glad you loved it. See, you're totally comfortable and relaxed right now.
Right now.
Come a long way, right? It's not that bad. It's back to your thing about people. So thank you both. Thank you out there for checking out this episode of the Pure Report podcast. As always, tell a friend, tell a colleague, and we will keep the great guests like Mike and Ameerul coming back onto the program, and maybe sooner than later for that one. With that, we'll wrap for Everpure, for Ameerul Shah, for my good buddy Mike Nelson. This is Rob Lumen saying, don't look back. Something might be gaining on you.